The time by Sagicor is
7 p.m.
CVM News at 7 headlines Tuesday, courtesy of Heart and STA Trust, Jamaica's Human Development Agency.
Tonight in CVM News at 7, procurement problems. Auditor General report details systematic deficiencies at the University Hospital of the West Indies. What went wrong? St. Thomas family threatens to sue St. Princess Margaret's Hospital after teen's death. And electrifying exchanges. Government and opposition clash over power restoration issues. Later on, a CVM News follow-up on missing Manchester High student Jaden Smith. In the business report, addressing the nation with Yasa Jamaica Limited. While in sports, veteran Arnett Garden striker hoping to realize World Cup dream.
CVM News at 7 headlines Tuesday, courtesy of Heart and STA Trust, Jamaica's Human Development Agency.
Let's delve deep into the issues. We'll take you beneath the surface.
Greetings and salutations. My name is Orville Higgins and it's another edition of Fan Central.
Talking to the people at the heart of the top sporting stories. Hear from your favorite sportsmen and women and the administrators who work tirelessly to make it all happen. It's live sports talk.
I've written an entire article.
Yeah.
Looking at all the major issues every Tuesday at 9 p.m. It's Fan Central.
CVM News at 7 Tuesday, brought to you by
KFC value menu. As you thinking chicken, get the chicken box combo for just $680.
From Kingston, Jamaica, this is CVM News at 7. It's Tuesday, January 13, 2026. I'm Nika Lewis. Thank you for joining us. Well, news from Parliament now. There was a heated standoff this afternoon between Energy Minister Darrell Vaz and the opposition over the pace of electricity restoration across the country. The opposition has accused the Energy Minister of misleading the House while calling for full transparency regarding funds issued to the Jamaica Public Service. Kevin Black reports.
There was a heated exchange in Parliament Tuesday as Energy Minister Darrell Vaz clashed with the opposition over the restoration of electricity following Hurricane Melissa. Addressing the House, Minister Vaz outlined the number of communities that remain without power, insisting that significant progress has been made by the Jamaica Public Service JPS.
Madam Speaker, Westmoreland has 34,603 customers. At this point in time, 17,096 are out. 49% remains out. St. Elizabeth, 46,145, 18,373, 40% out, or 60% on, depending on how you want to look at it.
But while listing the parishes where restoration is underway, Minister Vaz explained that JPS had teams mobilized even before the hurricane made landfall. However, he noted that the additional 300 contractors who arrived in December were unable to make an immediate impact as they did not have the necessary equipment at the time. He further told Parliament that when he announced the additional resources for JPS, the opposition strongly objected. The opposition has since rejected the minister's claims, accusing him of misleading the House on the matter.
The position of the opposition on that matter was that he had indicated that the necessary resources to restore the grid was $350 million US. And he came here to say that the government would be advancing essentially 100% of the cat bond proceeds to JPS as a loan, 150 million US, and he had nothing to say about the other 200, which he said was needed. And we were asking, how is it prudent to proceed in that way? He has flown off the handle, got extremely unpleasant about it, and has still not answered that question, incidentally. We were never against providing financing to JPS per se, but it was the absence of a proper coherent plan to fill a gap which he said existed. He said existed, and he has still not indicated what is the actual cost of restoring the grid.
Minister Vaz stood by his statements, insisting that the government acted responsibly.
Mr. Speaker, let me put on record so I can done the argument once and for all. The $150 million that was asked for and lent is the only thing that is on the table at this time to this government. We have no discussion or communication, verbal or written, about anything other than the $150 million to bring back light by the end of January. That is the situation as of now. So until something comes to me, there is nothing that I can tell. What I can say without fear of contradiction, that if we had followed them, we would still be waiting on light till the end of this year because of their bad mind.
Meanwhile, the opposition clarified that it has no objection to funding being provided to JPS, but raised concern about how the operation was organized and managed. They are also calling for a full and detailed explanation regarding the total sum issued to JPS, insisting that accountability and transparency are critical as thousands of Jamaicans continue to await the restoration of electricity.
I think the country deserves an explanation. I don't think a minister can come here and give that amount of money and not reflect on that, not come back to say to us it was a bad estimate and that it was in fact 150 million. It requires some explanation. It requires some explanation, and we are insisting on that.
Kevin Black, CVM News.
In other news now, St. James has one of the highest murder counts in Area 1 so far this year. Last night, a man and a woman were shot and killed along 2nd Street, Seaview, Albion. The victims are identified as 61-year-old Barbara Barrett Sinclair and 51-year-old Delroy Brown. They were found with gunshot wounds to the head and neck. Authorities say a child, reportedly the son or daughter of one of the victims, was at the scene. The Independent Commission of Investigations, INDICOM, is assuring the public it will fairly probe the deadly police shooting in Granville, St. James on New Year's Day. Senior INDICOM officials met with the Member of Parliament to discuss the investigation and the support being rendered to the victim's family.
Independent Commission of Investigations met with Member of Parliament for St. James West Central, Marlene Malahoo Fort, following the fatal police shooting in Granville on New Year's Day. The meeting focused on assurances of transparency, accountability and support for the grieving family.
I said to Nambia, the mother, that she can be assured that the shooting which resulted in the death of her son would be impartially investigated.
As much as we can, we are fast-tracking all the forensic as much as it is in our control. Find out when it is that it's a post-mortem so that we can get answers that the family so desperately seeks.
INDICOM reiterated that investigations into the actions of the security forces are grounded in law, stressing that independence and objectivity remain essential to its mandate.
By law, INDICOM is mandated to investigate the conduct of the security forces that result in injury or death or abuse. We wish to assure the families that INDICOM zealously guard our mandate, which is to be independent, which is to be objective and which is to be impartial.
The commission also outlined steps being taken to fast-track forensic work, while providing additional support to families and witnesses affected by such incidents.
In addition to the work of our forensic team or investigative team, or family liaison officers who are also trained investigators make contact with these families to provide empathetic and sympathetic contact. We have also had instances where we have ensured that persons get confidential social medical intervention.
Indicom says investigations into the incident are ongoing. Kevin Black reporting for CVM News.
2 men have been arrested after police in St. Thomas seized a Taurus 9mm pistol, 2 magazines and 15 rounds of ammunition during a targeted operation on Tuesday. Commanding officer for the division, Superintendent Michael Campbell, says the operations in Leith Hall and Fort are ongoing.
These operations have so far led to the confiscation of 1 prohibited weapon, a 9mm Taurus with 2 magazines and 15 9mm rounds. 2 persons have so far been taken into custody. Our search efforts continue as these operations are still ongoing. I also want to use this opportunity to appeal to my citizens of St. Thomas to continue to work with the police. These operations have so far led to the confiscation of 1 prohibited weapon, a 9mm Taurus with 2 magazines and 15 9mm rounds. 2 persons have so far been taken into custody. Our search efforts continue as these operations are still ongoing. I also want to use this opportunity to appeal to my citizens.
Emergency rooms in Western Jamaica are overflowing as motor vehicle accidents continue to climb. Officials at the Western Regional Health Authority are advising motorists to exercise extreme caution as medical resources are stretched thin. Crystal Williams tells us more.
374 road fatalities reported in 2025. The Western Regional Health Authority has also reported an increase in patients suffering injuries from motor vehicle accidents. Clinical coordinator of the authority, Dr. Delroy Frey, calls this concern a daily problem.
In October alone, 122 motor vehicle accident patients came to Cornwall Regional Hospital. In November, this is right after Melissa, we had 93. In December, we had 153 cases. And up until the 12th of January of this year, we have 55 cases.
He recalled 253 major orthopedic injuries being treated at the Savlamar Hospital in 2025 due to motorcycle accidents alone. He outlines some of the most common injuries.
In a motor vehicle accident, the major injuries we are seeing: chest, head, long bone, pelvic injuries. Sometimes you'll have a patient, all those systems are damaged.
According to Dr. Frey, the impact these numbers have had on the health system, especially in the West, cannot be pushed aside. He says the damage to health facilities caused by the hurricane has compounded the challenges impacting accommodations, blood supply, and other necessary medical resources for patients.
One of the places that is severely impacted here at Cornwall Regional Hospital, and if we have time I can speak about the other hospitals in the region as well, is the accident and emergency department, where, this morning alone, there are 84 patients awaiting admission there. Mind you, a lot of those might be medical patients. But I'm showing you, the constriction that we are working with.
Crystal Williams, CVM News.
Coming up after the break, Managing Editor Giovanni Dennis joins us to preview the Auditor General's report. Stay with us.
Chicken mega deal, super chicken mega deal.
The KFC value menu has you thinking chicken. Get the chicken box combo for just $680. KFC.
This season is the time Digicel is gifting smiles this season. 64 lucky customers will win $250,000 cash, and the 32 getting $50,000 in groceries. You can also win Samsung tablets, furniture vouchers, and so much more. Best part, you can keep your prize, or you gift all our partners to someone who really needs a smile. This season isn't just about winning, it's about making sure everybody good. Cash Digicel in your community, bringing gifts and good cheer to keep you smiling into the new year.
You know, some days are harder than others, but we have to do our part. You like porridge? We're in this together.
Morning, nurse. Thank you for what you do every day.
Come in, nurse. Our bona fide.
In this together.
Thanks so much for staying with us. Auditor General Pamela Monroe Ellis has submitted a scathing 72-page report about procurement problems at the University Hospital of the West Indies. From improper use of its tax exemption status to no procurement documentation for more than $500 million worth of contracts. The report highlights a number of deficiencies at the University Hospital. Giovanni Dennis has been going through the report and now joins us live. Giovanni?
All right, well, Nika, the document was tabled in Parliament this afternoon. The Auditor General is carrying out a series of audits to investigate whether selected hospitals are properly managing procurement processes and ensuring value for money spent. Now, this audit report was tabled in Parliament today, looking at the University Hospital of the West Indies in particular. Now, the report was prompted by what it says is whistleblower complaints. Now, Nika, just to say that the report contains serious findings about how the University Hospital was managing imports, contracts for goods and services, and dealing with procurement issues. According to Auditor General, now, if the weaknesses in US governance, procurement, and contract management processes that have been highlighted are not addressed, the risk of corruption could be increased and the hospital's ability to deliver quality healthcare services could be undermined. Nika.
So, Gio, have you been able to glean any of the key findings?
Well, that's exactly where I was going next, Nika. Well, I'll tell you 5 of these key findings. The first one is that the University Hospital inappropriately utilized its tax-exempt status to import goods for private companies, resulting in losses totaling $23.1 million. The report says that customs records showed that items like office furniture and medical equipment were declared as hospital imports. However, checks of hospital inventory records showed that these items were actually obtained by private entities. In one case, for example, UE used its tax-exempt status to import office furniture and medical equipment valued at $40.6 million for an entity referred to as Private Company 2, along with cups and dishes worth $1.41 million for Private Company 3. Now, this cost the country $10.7 million in customs fees, Nika. Now, you then bought those cups and dishes, which were reported to be worth $1.41 million initially, for $6.9 million, Nika. The Auditor General notes that this was a breach of Section 209, subsection 1 of the Customs Act, and this could lead to fines or prosecution. Now, key finding 2 of 5 that I'm sharing tonight, Nika, you could not provide procurement documentation for 51 contracts valuing over $521 million. This documentation included requisitions, tender documents, bid submissions, evaluation reports, and procurement records. The Auditor General says that the lack of these documents prevented a thorough review of whether procurement regulations were followed and whether the transactions were carried out in a manner that ensured transparency, accountability, and value for money. Key finding 3 of 5. No, UWI frequently initiated the procurement process after goods or services had already been delivered or works completed. The Auditor General said that, for instance, that UWI bought 41 laptops and renovated several facilities, including the staff clinic, occupational building, doctor's quarters, daycare nursery, 4 wards and the Wi-Fi building, for a total estimated value of $69.2 million. In none of these cases were procurement guidelines followed. And key finding 4, Nika noted that the UHWI conducted 2 purchases through its private wing, thereby bypassing standard procurement procedures. This related to 2 loan agreements for medical equipment that the University Hospital entered into in 2019 and 2023, valued at $91.66 million and US $354,334 respectively. Now, the final key finding I want to share tonight, Nika, is that the University Hospital did not follow required procurement procedures for hiring consultants and other service providers. The Auditor General reports that the hospital engaged in multiple consultants service providers without following procurement procedures. The total payments amounted to approximately $681 million for consultancy and other services and US $186,000 for 2 other consulting contracts, Nika.
Were there any recommendations?
Absolutely, Nika. I'll just share 3 of those recommendations with you. Auditor General has requested or recommended that the University Hospital should immediately stop facilitating imports for private entities using its tax-exempt status. The University Hospital must address violations of procurement regulations by conducting a comprehensive assessment of its procurement processes, and that the hospital should immediately develop and submit an annual procurement plan that complies with government standards. Of course, we're still going through this report, Nika, and we'll be following up on this for subsequent newscasts.
All right, thank you so much, Gio. We're definitely looking forward and tracking this with you. All right, but the William Knibb Memorial High School has received 8 tents from UNICEF to help support students as the school continues to recover following the impact of Hurricane Melissa. The tents are being used to create temporary learning spaces, allowing classes to continue while repairs and assessments are conducted on the campus. The principal, Linvern Wright, he says he's satisfied with the tents as they help to reduce disruption and ensure that students can remain engaged in their education. Carla Ramdeen tells us more.
The principal of William Knibb Memorial High School, Linvern Wright, confirmed that temporary tents provided by UNICEF are helping the school continue classes after damage from Hurricane Melissa. After reaching out to the Ministry of Education and UNICEF, the school received 8 tents. Several have been partitioned, allowing 3 of them to host up to 6 classes at a time.
Because we are out of maybe about 20 rooms, and our tents are giving us about 18. With that, we are able to host 4 groups every day, or 5 of our groups out of the 6 groups we have every day. So pretty much we want to give thanks to UNICEF for having done that.
Mr. Wright explains that 20 classrooms are in need of repair, adding that discussions with contractors have begun to determine which areas to repair first.
I would more put it that I am satisfied with what has been given the situation we have to work with. Because, having lost, 7 or 8 buildings out of 9 in terms of the roofing and having furniture destroyed and just seeing 3/4 to 80% of your students back at school is heartening.
The principal noted that during the COVID-19 period, extended time from school led to increased social delinquency among students. Efforts are now being made to prevent a repeat by maintaining classes even under makeshift conditions.
As much as we can have them in school so that they can all be privy to the kind of, or benefit from the kind of social, upbringing we can give them, or the social grounding we can give them, to help them to all understand that, this is a common expectation we have of you socially. These are the kinds of things we hope that we're going to have them here for, because it's not just about the exams. Many people are concerned about the exams and about CXE exams. A child can really not pass an exam, but if they're passing manners, it's a good thing.
Carla Ramdeen, CVM News.
Meantime, PNP caretaker in St. Andrew Northeastern, Stacey Knight, is siding with party chairman Philip Paulwell, describing as wrong and unacceptable what she says is a disregard for Jamaica's democratic system. Her comments follow concerns raised by the People's National Party that individuals rejected by voters in the September 3, 2025 general election are being allowed to participate in activities meant for elected members of parliament. The party cited a January 9 visit to the Princess Margaret Hospital in St. Thomas involving former MP Michelle Charles, while the duly elected MP for Eastern St. Thomas, Rosemary Shaw, was not informed or invited. Carla Ramdeen picks up this story.
PNP caretaker Stacey Knight says allowing non-elected members to take on roles meant for MPs undermines democracy. She argues a caretaker cannot officially speak as a representative of the people when the law does not give them that power.
Democracy is really saying that the people have the power to choose who their leaders are. That's what it's all about. And when voters elect a member of parliament, that's the person who is their member in parliament and outside of parliament, because it's the member who represents the entire constituency for that term of office. So for someone who has not been elected to step into that role when there is someone who was elected, who is available, who hasn't even been invited or requested to play the role, it really gives the lie to the whole idea of democracy and the Representation of the People Act.
When asked whether caretaker candidates are expected to step aside following the call, Ms. Knight explained that visibility in the constituency is important to keep her MP accountable.
And it's important for those who did vote for me or who voted for any other candidate who is not elected, that there are persons who did support that candidate, and those persons do want to check in with their member of parliament representative, or can I say, or their caretaker from time to time. The point this evening really is not about a caretaker remaining visible. Visibility is very different from carrying out a constitutional function. And the establishment of parliament is by no less than the Constitution of Jamaica. And so the role of being a member of parliament is a very high office, an official office, and one that someone cannot just aspire to and therefore be.
Meanwhile, JLP caretaker for Westmoreland Central, George Wright, who is accused of carrying out official duties like a member of parliament, is dismissing the accusations.
I've never gotten a call or email from any ministers of government to attend any sitting coming into the constituency. However, I can recall once when a minister was coming, but it was published. And as a citizen of the constituency, also as a representative, a caretaker of the constituency, it is my right to attend any function that had been advertised or been known to me whenever any minister or member of parliament is coming into my constituency.
Carla Ramdeen, CVM News.
We're now being joined by Jody and Quarry for a look ahead at Lead Story Prime.
Hi, Nika. We're discussing today oil and energy as Jamaica is now being impacted by other countries around the world by the global shifts that we're seeing. Venezuela is a big news, and Venezuela and the United States are an oil story. So we're looking at what Jamaica is dealing with as we fuel the future. Where do we get our oil from? Where did we get our oil from, including Petrocaribe? And what are we doing for the future? So that's us at Lead Story Prime at 8.
Thank you so much, Jody and Quarry, and you do stay with us for that. We take a break, more to come.
Chicken, mega deal, super chicken, mega deal. The time by KFC is...
No frills, just great prices at Courts. We don't just talk about it, we got it. Get the best in quality and prices on appliances, electronics, furniture, and much more. That's not all. Get up to 40% off select items. Shop today, pay later with Courts Ready Finance. It's no frills, just great prices. Only at Courts. Bringing value home. Conditions apply. Offers end January 31st, 2026.
Every dream conquered is another dream game. I land and I fly again like a jet plane. Headed straight in your direction. 'Cause I'm wiser, one step closer. I'm winning 'cause I work so hard. And the music hits I play, and the people them I say we are my show tonight. Oh, what a feeling! Don't stop dreaming. Keep on believing in the power of the feeling. Whatever you want, take a chance. Song in your heart, step in your dance. You got a spark, don't put it down. Shine your lights
Welcome back. It's now time for the business report with Joel Crosskill.
Lots to address with you in the business report today about what is Yasa and how it got here.
I am Andrew Walker, founder of Yasa. So I'm originally from a farming district in St. Mary where no one has an address, right? And so that's how I grew up, right? My address as a child was Onoto Bay PO, St. Mary, shared with a lot of other people in that region of the island.
Walker would eventually find himself at Google, where for the better part of a decade, he worked as a software engineering manager who led infrastructure supporting products such as Google Docs and G Suite, serving billions globally. And then came a change of direction.
I like to think of it as being afforded the opportunity to sit on the crest of a tidal wave of technology that's sweeping the world, right? And then I never left, out of touch with Jamaica. So I could see, on my trips home that there's a massive difference between what pertains, in my life in New York and versus what pertains when I'm home in Jamaica. So, and one of the challenges that really, stayed with me was the fact that so many people are living without a navigable civic address, right? And then I came across some tech called Open Location Code that could actually help to solve that problem. So for the first time, I saw where my house in St. Mary could have an address. So I left Google to focus on doing that. Was happy to find, other people along the way who are passionate about solving this problem once and for all.
And so was born Yasa Jamaica Limited, a geospatial technology company focused on solving last-mile logistics and addressing challenges in emerging markets through innovative, location-based solutions.
We view an address as a human right at Yasa. It affects your right to life in emergency situations. The ability for emergency response personnel to find you can be a matter of life and death. And we know how difficult that is in areas without an address. And even in areas that have an address, right? It's not only sufficient to have an address, but that address must be what we call at Yasa navigable, right? And so you may have an address, but if the navigation system that you're using isn't able to precisely find that intended address, then you have a problem.
And the technological answer intended to get us from here to there, grids.
So the way this technology works, like if you could, from a simple perspective, if you could imagine an area, whether it is a community or a country, covered in tiles of like a 0.5 meter square, and each tile has an alphanumeric code that identifies it. And that alphanumeric code is the equivalent to what you would recognize as like a postcode in the UK or a zip code in other countries, right? But what that allows you to do is to provide precise addresses to every half a meter square piece of property or location in the country. The grid is actually based on latitude and longitude, so that's how we actually construct the grids.
The Yasa platform has already supported national emergency response efforts during Hurricane Melissa, assisting coordination through the Private Sector Emergency Operations Center, emergency requisitions to the JDF, and relief tracking across more than 200 locations. And along the journey, additional partnerships that demonstrate proof of concept have been forged.
So one of the first partners we reached out to was the Jamaica Constabulary Force. And you could see how important this technology, the role it could play in emergency response. So that was the first relationship that we entered into. And then, you know, it led to discussions with the Jamaica Fire Brigade, right? So we're in pilot phases with them. But our goal is really to provide a national addressing platform.
An ambition that closely aligns with Jamaica Post, with whom a Memorandum of Understanding MOU was recently signed to pilot a national postal codes initiative aimed at enabling reliable, accurate and direct delivery of mail island-wide.
We saw the Jamaica Post as a key partner to work with to enable, you know, every citizen to have an address, a navigable address, to enable logistics, you know, to come to life. And so, you know, that was one of the most recent partnerships that we announced. We're excited about that. And that's when we'll start bringing the services to the public, to the people. The way e-commerce has changed, right? There are entities, global partners who are looking to give that same first world experience where your packages come to your door, right? And with this ability to provide addresses, we have had significant interest from international partners.
It's an advancement that has implications to not just expand e-commerce, but assist Jamaica to navigate turn by turn towards broader inclusion in the digital economy while advancing national development capacity.
Our mission is to bridge the gap between the developed and the developing world. And that's one of the things we want to do first, is to eliminate that logistics gap that exists between the developed and the developing world, one address at a time.
And that was your business report. I'm Joel Crossgill.
We now turn our focus to regional and international news.
We begin with news in the region. St. Lucia is facing a looming water crisis as officials today issued a stark early warning that the 2026 dry season is already shaping up to be one of the most severe in recent memory, with conditions rivaling historic droughts and threatening national water security. DBS TV tells us more.
Looking at our river systems across the island, we're seeing discharge rates that we normally see towards the end of March in a good year, right? So that is very troublesome, very worrying to the agency.